Subies, it's Psychic Bob here. It is so awesome to be with you. Well, here we are, it's Sunday, the day of the sun. And normally on Sunday I talk about solar deities or magic with the sun. But today I'm going to kind of do a flip on this. I'm going to do something different. We're going to talk about the night. You're going to say, what? It's Sunday. Well, what's the opposite of the sun? The night, the moon, the darkness. And I think it's okay on Sunday to talk about the moon, because the sun and the moon illuminate and bless each other. And in astrology, the sun and the moon are the two illuminators of the zodiac. Today I was sitting here looking at one of my pieces of jewelry, and those of you who've been following me, you know that Psychic Bob is obsessed with collecting jewelry. I know it's my one addiction in life, but I have a lot of fun with it, and well, I haven't lost the house yet, so I guess it's okay that I buy a few pieces. Anyways, this is a picture of one of the great dark goddesses. Can you guys see that? This is Kali Ma. It's hard to see here, got some glare. This is her in her Maha form, her great form. She has 10 arms, and she's killing demons. She's on a battleground and kills demons. And I love Kali Ma. Now, a lot of people in the West are absolutely terrified of Kali Ma, and they look upon her with abject terror and horror. But if you ask the average Hindu, especially those in East India and Calcutta, where the worship of the Great Mother is very prominent, if you show them a picture of Kali, they don't go, they go, oh, Mother Kali, and they run and kiss the picture. You see, that's because in India, the goddess worship is still alive. I think India is probably the only country on earth that has an official goddess worship as part of its culture. Now, here in the West, there are many of us in the Wiccan and pagan traditions now who are, in a sense, worshiping the goddess. We've revitalized the worship of goddess in the West. But as a whole, our Western culture has still not embraced the goddess. So those of us who follow the path of the Wicca, I really believe that we want to continue to honor the goddess and share her with the world at large. Now, in the Wiccan tradition that I come from, we don't proselytize. So we're not going out door to door saying, do you know the goddess? Okay, it's not about that. But we should all live in a way and let the goddess be so much part of our life that those around us see our light within. I openly wear my goddess pendants in public. And many times people will come up to me and say, oh, what a fascinating pendant. What is that? And I have a chance to share with them a little bit about my faith and experience. Now, some of them just go, oh, interesting, and walk away. I'm sure we've all had that, right? But then some of them say, I'd like to learn more about that. So I really think that those of us in the West who truly love the goddess, we want to be open to sharing her presence, because Starhawk said, and actually I don't have the book here, but I'll get it for another video, but in her book, The Spiral Dance, she said, by the West rejecting the goddess, it has created peril for the earth. For since we no longer are connected to the goddess, we view the earth as something to be controlled, dominated, and destroyed. Whereas those who worship the goddess look at the earth as the goddess, the mother, and honor and reverence her. And she says that not only is this for the women's spirituality movement, that men too have been hurt by the loss of the goddess. And I really like that she said that, because as a male, I sometimes feel a lot of times in women's spirituality that we're excluded. But really, Starhawk says that men too must embrace the goddess. For in doing so, they rediscover their inner emotions and they are healed. She says that the patriarchal culture has created a mindset that men have no emotion, men can't cry, men can't feel. And and it's created this stagnation that has weakened the inner strength of men. I really believe that's true. So I love, Goddess Kali. I worship all of the goddesses, and I really believe actually that all goddesses are emanations or forms of one goddess. So there is a divine creatrix, the goddess, and the divine creator, the god, so the Lord and the Lady, and they take many different forms. I happen to really have loved Kali Ma. In fact, I brought a beautiful picture here, one of my favorite pictures from my altar to show you. I'm actually right now building a whole altar to Kali. It's going to be like half of a room because she's been a big part of my life for many years. But I worship her along with Isis and along with Mary, you see. Now she is the dark goddess, whereas like, for example, Mother Mary would be the white goddess. Kali is the black goddess, and they are not enemies. They are part of the same person, just different aspects. But this form of Kali is called Bhadra Kali. Bhadra Kali is the gentle form. Bhadra means mild or gentle. So this is the gentle, loving Kali. Now, of course, she still has her weapons in her hand and a severed head, and she looks like she's just come from a war, which she has, because in the myth of Kali, she destroyed demons. There was a demon that tried to take over the world. And similar to the Christian mythology, the Christian mythology talks about the war in heaven between the angels and the fallen angels. Well, Hinduism also has that truth, where there was a rise of an evil demon who tried to destroy the whole earth and take control. And all the gods and goddesses went to battle. And Mother Kali emerged during that battle. The eye of Durga, who is another goddess. I'll put a picture of Durga up here. Durga emanated Kali out of her brow. And Kali was the fierce black mother. In the battle, she was quite severe. She chopped off heads, she drank blood, she stomped the whole world. She was insane. But her rage comes from a mother's love. And this is the mystery to working with Kali. She looks fierce. Well, this is her more mild form. In fact, let me put a more fierce picture up here for you. Check this out. So that's one of the fiercer forms of Kali. But remember, whenever you see that form, if you were to show that to a Hindu, they would smile and want to hug her. And you're still saying, well, I don't get this. Underneath that fierceness is a gentle mother's love. Look at the face of this Kali. This Bhadra Kali is very gentle and loving. At a distance, she looks a little scary. But when you get closer, you realize that it is the mother's love. And so we need not fear Mother Kali. I've read in some Wiccan books, they say, oh, never call on Kali, it's dangerous, she's so powerful. Well, I suppose, yes, if you're flippant about it and you call a goddess this powerful, you might disturb her if you're not reverent. And this is why I tell Wiccans, don't just, do a spell and say, oh, I'll just plug Kali in for a deity. Really know the deities that you work with. Kali Ma, I've worked with her for many years. And in fact, I want to tell you the story about how I first found Kali. As many of you know, I live in the Washington, D.C. area, and we actually have a large Hindu population here, for which I am very thankful. In my younger years, before I knew about Wicca, I would often hang out with the Hindus, because in my heart I was a pagan, though I didn't know there was such a thing as paganism in the Western sense at the time. And I felt such a kinship in the Hindu religion. And one day I went to a new Hindu temple that had just opened. And they were so new, they didn't even have all the deities installed. In the Hindu temples, they have statues of the gods. And many times when a community is poor or just starting out, they'll put up a picture of a god or goddess before they get a statue. And this temple I visited had a little area set in the back of the temple with a beautiful picture similar to this, but it was much larger, like 4 feet tall, of Kali. And they said, oh, this is our Kali altar until we get our statue of her, our deity form. But see, in Hinduism, the gods manifest through the statues. They can equally manifest through the pictures. So they can have, their goddess present through the picture. And so my first encounter with Kali was through a picture very similar to this. And I had never seen her. And I walked and said, oh, who is that? At first, like most Westerners, I was a little taken aback. But then I was intrigued. And instinctively, without even having to be told by the Hindu priest, I knew that ultimately she was good. She was not evil as she might appear at first. And I said, who is this? And he said, oh, this is Mother Kali. She's a great and powerful mother goddess, and many people in India love her. I said, wow. And I said, can I worship her? Can I pray to her? I just felt such a connection. He said, oh, yes, you're a child, too, of Mother Kali. And so I got my first picture of Kali, which actually I don't have anymore because it was damaged in a flood, but that's another story. But anyways, this is one of my more recent pictures of Kali. And wherever I've lived, I've always had a picture of Kali in my home. And I've never forgotten that experience. That was probably my first encounter with the goddess in her own unique form as creatrix of the universe. And so as I studied about Kali, I learned about the story of her destroying the demons and saving the world. And I learned about how that her blackness is the beginning of the cosmos. The whole universe is inside of her body. That she is like outer space. All the blackness of space is her body. So she takes on the form Kali. Kali means black or blackness. And it's believed that from the blackness, in the beginning there was darkness. And all life emanated from that darkness. Some call it the womb of the goddess. Kali is also the Hindu word for time. And it's believed that the goddess encompasses all times, past, present, and future. And all things in time are devoured by time. So everything in the material world ultimately merges back into the goddess. So she is the beginning, she is the present, and she is the end. And she is called Kali Ma. Here below her is her husband, Lord Shiva, who is Lord of the yogis. And during her dance of destruction, he saw that she was in such a rage destroying evil, he feared she might lose control and destroy the whole universe. So he laid on the ground, prostrate, begging her to stop her dance. And when she saw him before her, it gave her moments to pause, and then she could hear him and come back into control. They say that the love of Kali Ma is so fierce that she will go to any lengths to protect her devotee. And I can tell you in my own life, I've had times where I've been in great danger. And when I have called upon Kali Ma, or Ma Kali, Ma means mother. It's like Ma, They have that in Hindi as well. Ma, Kali Ma or Ma Kali, either way. I've been saved. So I have a great faith in the great dark goddess. So I want to bring that to you. I also want to share with you some other words today about the Great Mother. As many of you know, I'm also a member of the Fellowship of Isis. And it's a religious order dedicated to goddess worship. It's out of Ireland. And Olivia Robertson, who unfortunately passed away a few years ago, this is one of her books that she wrote. It's a book of ceremonies. This book comes from what's called Urania, Ceremonial Magic of the Goddess. And it's a book of rituals. But in the introduction here to this book, she talks about the power of the goddess and the influence in our lives. So I thought I would read this to you. She talks about earlier in the book about how monotheistic Western culture has excluded the goddess and how it's created a sense of separation from the divine. And then she goes on and she says, "It is only now that those who feared eternal damnation of the patriarchal lawgiver That means the god of the Western culture. Eternal damnation of the patriarchal lawgiver. Turn for comfort to the mother goddess. She draws all her children to her with forgiveness. For no mother deserts her own child, however wicked. Besides, the mother goddess has within herself the power to redeem all beings through the transmutation of rebirth. We may all live again through her. Isn't that beautiful? That's just a little section from this book, Urania, Ceremonial Magic of the Goddess by Olivia Robertson. You should check it out. So I wanted to take this Sunday, as we often think about the sun and the sun lord, to also reflect on the opposite of this, the light, which is the darkness. And if you're looking to understand the darkness, maybe you've grown up in a home that taught you that, white and bright and light are good and darkness is evil. Maybe you could reconsider that darkness could be good. There is a form of good darkness that is found in the ancient Dark Mother. In Wicca, we talk about the triple moon. The maiden is the waning moon, the mother is the full moon, and then the crone is the waning moon. Waxing moon is maiden, full moon is mother, and waning moon is crone. And then there's also the dark moon, which ties into Kali Ma. She is represented by the black disk, the dark moon. She shares a lot of traits actually with Hecate of the West. I would call Kali the Hecate of the East. But wonderfully, many Westerners now are discovering the great goddess Kali and embracing her and bringing them into her life. And you don't have to be Hindu to worship Kali Ma. She is the mother of the whole universe, the whole world. So you can be a Wiccan and invoke her. I do think, however, that if you are going to work with Kali Ma, you should study more about her traditions, her altar setup, her offerings. And I'm probably going to have to do a whole separate video on that. But for right now, just know that she is the Dark Mother, and she is a beautiful being of love and compassion and wisdom. And if you seek out the mystery of the Dark Mother, you will discover ancient truths that many of the mystics knew. So I invite you today, embrace Mother Kali if you feel so called, and let her enrich your life. Guys, I am so glad you're here today. I want to say thank you to all of you for being part of my channel. You guys rock. Well, listen, I'm going to get off of here. I got calls to make today. But I send you guys my love. Love you guys. By the way, if you didn't see yesterday's video, last night we did our Saturday night seance, and we had a lot of fun with that. So you definitely want to check that out. So pop over to the video right before this one if you haven't seen that. The spirits came through, and they talked about some prophecies for 2017, and it was very fascinating. So I hope you'll check that out. And also, if you're looking for something to do today, maybe you're a little bored and don't know what to do on a Sunday afternoon, pop over to my website, pick up some of my books. You can go to robert-hickman.com. I'll put the link in the box below. And, I've got a number of books. We've got Messages from Rose. We got Psychic Bob's Book of Wiccan Wisdom. We got Ouija Mysteries. All of these books I wrote. And I think you would really, really enjoy them if you stop over and pick them up. Well, listen, thanks for being here. We'll be back here tomorrow. Tomorrow is Moon Day or Monday. We'll have something fun and mystical. So be back here then. Thanks for being here. I love you guys. Blessed be.